1, 2, 3. Oh shit. That's the wrong theme. Let's start that over again.
Am I on X-rated?
Yeah, really. I have 2 shows, everybody. So let's start this right here. Boop. All right, here we go.
Locutors of Trek. On screen. I would enjoy debating with you. You have a keen mind.
Welcome to Debate 9, Fittin' in while up Tellar. For those of you that tuned into our last episode of our podcast, Locutors of Trek, you'll know that we were contemplating what it would be like going up Tellar. Way up Tellar, as Dave explained to us. It's quite a ways up Tellar. Yeah, and yeah, welcome to Debate 9. We're going to have a fun show. We are the Plain Simple Tailors, Plain Simple hosts, Devin and Dave, as always, and our guest debater. You know what? I'm gonna change you guys around right now because we're co-hosts here at the top. But our guest, Jody Simpson,
Hello,
from Enterprise at 8 over at Live Long and Podcast, but also the Fred Flintstone to my Barney Rubble on the Picard show.
That's the highest rated out of those episodes, might I add.
Exactly right. We took that place to new heights.
Indeed.
We're gonna do that with this show here tonight, aren't we?
Are we? Okay.
So, well, we're gonna have 9 Star Trek themed debates, unless there's a tie. And if there's a 3-way tie, we have Mr. Scott on the line if we need him. Yep.
Now I'm hoping for a 3-way.
Ah, well, there you go. Well, that's the thing about this game is you can sort of make whatever you want to happen. It's the big debate game where you're the judge and the contestant, and you can kind of decide your own fate as best you can.
Well, it's a pleasure to be finally on this show because I've been asked many times, and conflicts have come up as well
entities,
as natural disasters and various other things. So it's a pleasure to be on the highest rated Star Trek podcast named Locutors of Trek. So I'm
yes, it is.
We are consistently number 1 in that field.
You are absolutely 100% number 1. You are right at the top there.
Certainly for the last year and a half, 2 years. We'll have 30-second arguments by each debater, followed by a 30-second free for all. Oh, I should. Can you guys hear this?
Yep, I can.
Or should it be louder, like that?
Oh, that's better.
That's a little better.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, so that's the timer, but it's not going to be
that. You're very technical at this one, eh? Lots of technology.
Oh man.
Well, I gotta
multimodal.
I have a timer that came with a board game. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Should we roll to see who goes first, or should I just start?
Sure. Take a chance cube.
All right, take a chance cube. Chance cube. I have chance cube. All right. So what do we got? Pick your numbers, boys. I'm taking 1 and 6.
Just
you guys were slow.
Oh, I'll take 5 and 3.
All right, you got your stuff.
And then
Jody.
I'll take the remainder.
6. All right, I guess I'm going first. All right, so get this show on the road here. Be it resolved. Well, let me just start this off. You may have heard I believe it's a Vulcan proverb, that a man convinced of his own death will find a way to make it happen. Keeping this in mind, be it resolved, in Strange New Worlds, Captain Christopher Pike is unfit for command. Jody, you will be arguing for this.
Oh.
Dave, you against.
Okay.
Jody, your 30 seconds starts now.
All right, Christopher Pike. Clearly, he is not fit for command. If you notice, he's very lax with the rules, and that's something that you can't have, especially in the flagship of the Federation. This is the representation of this fleet, and to have such relaxed rules and going down on away missions and stuff. This is just not the right way to be doing this, guys. And I feel that he definitely is unfit for command. I don't even need any more. I think I've made a solid case already.
All right, concede the rest of your time. All right, Dave, your 30 seconds starts
Okay.
now.
Well, unlike the metaphor which Davin used in proposing the problem, I'd argue that unlike a Vulcan metaphor, Pike's is more the picture of Achilles, whose knows his death could come at any moment, but chooses to fight everything from rivers to giants to centaurs to whole armies in order to work for the principles that he's decided to live by. That's the ultimate question.
Okay, very good, very good. 30 seconds. Open debate begins now.
I think the fact that he knows his destiny actually is going to modify how he does things, including going against policy when he feels like it, various other things like that, which clearly makes him unfit. He's not emotionally able to deal with this command the way he should be, and at this point, he's a danger. He's a danger to his crew because of the fact that he knows that he's going to be dying. So those changes are going to affect things.
I think those are real risks. I'll grant you, but what we see in the man is
Continue. Finish
what
your
we
sentence.
see is actually someone who's having to engage their own capacity for transcendence. Because if you lay his guts on the table, Pike is exactly what you say, a steaming mess.
Mm-hmm.
The real question is, the existential question is, what does he do with that assemblage of elements? And the ultimate question is, how does, and this is the question Star Trek asks us, how does somebody transcend?
But whether we need to find out about his transcendent or not doesn't change the fact that he's unfit for command because of the fact that he knows his own thing and he's going to modify his behavior to suit that. And the fact that he knows that is going to do it.
He does this all within the confines of his own personality, which, as is stated, is the captain.
All right, you guys are way over time here. That was a good debate, though. That picked up steam at the end, so I just had to let it go.
That was a good opening round, man. That's great.
It was a good opening round. And Dave, you were very eloquent, and I liked your metaphors and everything. And you had me.
He was definitely the scholar answer out of the two of us.
Yeah. Sure. But in the end, I feel Jody's answer asked less questions of Pike. Jody says he will. Well, I think you made your point.
That was going to be my question.
He will change the way he does things and makes his decisions. You were quite certain in that in your debate here. Whereas Dave, it was more, what will he do? And with certain things taken into account, certain things, and it just very good arguments. But I'm actually going to give this one to Jody.
Thank you.
All right.
And just for the record, I absolutely like Pike.
Yeah, I like his characterization is really.
It's a great.
Like you're not going to make me
very
debating
compelling.
war later or something. Like sometimes you have to debate things you don't like.
All
right.
You have no idea, my friend.
All right, Dave, you're up next.
All right, I'm up next.
You want the first one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do this. Give us your.
So the short detention of Cassidy Yates and the bucolic pastoral confinement of Tom Paris are notable instances of Federation corrections. And by that I mean by jail. And these are taken in some ways as sort of to be understood as the characteristic way in which by and large, Federation justice is practiced in terms of imprisoning people. So here we go. Be it resolved that the Federation's rehabilitative model of corrections makes them soft on crime. Jody, you went first last time, so Davin, you're going to argue for this. And Jody, you're going to argue the opposite in some fashion, just that it doesn't, but, pick your angle.
All right.
All right, Davin, you got the timer there.
Let me tell you why the Federation is soft on crime. Tom Paris did not learn his lesson while in that Federation penal colony. He didn't learn anything. He was rebellious, almost traitorous in season 1 of Voyager, whereas it took several seasons of being on Voyager, facing actual hardship and actual difficulty to change the criminal that was Tom Paris.
Okay.
All right. When do I start? Now? Okay. You mentioned Tom Paris. Tom Paris has been rehabilitated because of the fact that he was given the opportunity to do so, which would make them not soft on it. They actually have purposely shown treatment, and treatment that gets results, and that is the key to that. When you have results in rehabilitation and in your criminal system, you're doing things right, and Tom Paris is a perfect example of that.
All right, we've honed in on like the
Tom Paris
edge of the
Tom
argument.
Paris of it.
Yeah.
That's right. We've gotten to the Tom Paris.
Well, I was really rebutting. Then I probably shouldn't have been, but I was rebutting.
Well, that's okay. We've got some free comment time
my
here.
trap.
So,
have you?
Dust up your knuckles and verbally, and get ready. Go for it.
Well, let me tell you, Tom Paris, that wasn't the Federation. That was Janeway, not doing Federation corrections and just taking Tom Paris away. But let's also
that's
talk
one
about
way to
Cassidy
interpret it.
Yates, the other example. Okay, a criminal, and she served what? People died because of the Maquis, and her taking the medical supplies kept Maquis alive. So.
A great man in the Federation said that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And sometimes you have to make bad decisions like that to be able to be successful and to be able to actually do things correctly. And sometimes when we look at rehabilitation, we look at it from a negative only attitude. And the problem with that is that we don't give people the chance. And sometimes you give that chance and then you actually are much more successful, such as in these two instances. I also don't think that they're soft in the fact that, we have examples like Khan being banished to a planet. These are all things that show that they're harder.
The Federation is soft.
That's all the time
They burn him a captain. That is their rehabilitation model. Promotion to captain. Anyway.
A swift jab at the end there. There aren't any more parts. I can just render my own judgment now. Ho, ho, ho. This was a really actually, I liked your points on the start. I like getting to the Tom Paris of the matter right off the top. Your point about Khan is a really excellent one. Although I wonder whether it may not speak more to the ad hoc justice of the Federation frontier exploring model. In that sense, more the sort of Captain Bligh out on the ocean and what is he going to do than the particulars. But, we didn't get to cover that, so there's not really much room to make a judgment that way. On the other side, I could see you understanding yourself to be running out of steam toward the end of that last point there. You're like, and I've gone to, this is really, I've gotten to the neocon place here.
Took a wrong turn.
Oh, it's all gone downhill.
It's a thick woods and I took the wrong turn.
I mean, it was entertaining to watch, let me just say. So, it was a good effort there. I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to give the point to Jody here.
Thank you.
Just off the top. Yeah.
All right.
Now, I'm not just getting shown, guest privilege here, right? Like this is.
Well, you can't get this next point.
Oh, this is before the second round hazing. That's right.
Oh, I see. Okay. Perfect. I'm
Pretty
waiting for that.
All right.
Which one are you
Here's
doing in
one.
mind? All right.
First one.
Be it resolved, gentlemen. Picard should have used Hugh to destroy the Borg in the episode I, Borg. So the episode, obviously, we're all familiar with it. This is the episode where they decide whether to program him to kill the Borg and destroy them, or to let him go and be his thing. I, Borg and Zed. So this is a controversial statement, and I'm going to go with. Dave's going to go first, and he's going to argue for, and Davin's going to argue against. So go ahead, Dave.
Okay. Whenever you're ready to poke the thing, Davin.
Go.
Consider it poked.
So the Borg can't be understood as covered by the same kind of ethical frameworks we'd use to reason about fighting other species. They themselves announce their own intention to incorporate, to dominate, to assimilate. And so Picard, by right, should have used whatever means were necessary, given that he already understood the full danger of the Borg in his own person, as well as in his own ship and Rule 3.9, to destroy that threat.
Okay. Davin.
As we saw in Picard Season 2, that left to their own devices and their own evolution, the Borg changed the Borg themselves. And we see them embrace a more peaceful, cooperative way of doing things, with the Borg cooperative with Hugh himself, but also with, spoiler alert, Agnes Girardi, and even the Borg Queen that was featured in Picard. They're changing. They don't need to be destroyed. Picard was right.
Gentlemen.
I'm going to get the t-shirt. Picard was right.
So that change would have happened having assimilated Earth already in the main timeline, though, right? So, Picard can't reason from that knowledge when he's faced with Hugh. Even if your point's granted in the period that we're talking about, like sort of 2400 or whatever.
Okay, fair point.
Can't be conscious of that in the moment of I, Borg.
But Picard's ethical stance on that in the beginning, in that episode, was correct. He was right. It's like it's not.
He's
like,
right.
Who are you? You can't betray the ideals of the Federation just to accomplish a goal for the Federation. That's not what the Federation is.
I would argue the Borg are an incomparable and irreducible threat. From that moment.
You did not make this easy, gentlemen. You didn't make this easy.
They never are, man. It's the judging's the hardest.
Wow. And this is the first time I get to judge anything, so that makes it hard. The lovely face isn't going to do anything for you, Dave. I'm just letting you know.
Doing the Ferengi gratitude.
I'm doing a Ferengi in imploring there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have integrity if I just went by your beautiful face alone, Dave. Let's be honest.
I don't have the word for it. That's the problem.
Davin, I really liked your point, especially bringing up Picard season 2. I thought that was quite interesting. You're not wrong there. I agree with that. I liked Dave's argument mostly about the fact that this is not like another enemy. This is an enemy that has already intended. They've already shown their clear intentions on what's going to happen. And at this point, is it fight or flight? What is it? Right. So even though I will say that both of you did that one great, I'm giving it to Dave this time. But honestly, it could have went any other way, but I did like a little bit more what Dave was saying in this scenario. But I did like your examples a little bit more, Devin. So I will give you that. So I thought it was a great fight one way or the other. So very hard, though. Very hard. I don't know if I'm ever going to do this show again. That was a hard one already. And it's only going to get worse, I think. So we'll see what happens.
We go through guests on this show like crazy. But you have the chance to join the 5 previous champions, including your co-host, Adam Woodward.
Oh, Mr. Woodward, yes.
He's the reigning
A good
champion
foe.
right now, actually.
Raining, wow. Even better.
That's going to end tonight. All right, even though he's not here. That's not how it works on debate night. All right, so
He gets to lose it anyway.
Room champions
the
here.
Vidians, who you may know from Voyager, who are the race of people that scavenge body parts to.
Oh yes, okay.
Their society is all
they're
just
kind of
falling
dying
to
out and
pieces.
they need body
Yeah,
parts.
absolutely. But before that, they were said to be very Federation-like before the phage,
Before the harvest
of their people, and before the harvesting,
before the body
absolutely.
harvest. Yeah.
Now, when we hear from them, not from them, but about them later in Voyager, from Jason Alexander in the think tank,
Oh yes. Okay,
he claims that they've all but eliminated the phage. The think tank has for the Vidians. So, keeping this in mind, be it resolved, the Vidians should be the first Delta Quadrant society approached to join the Federation. Dave, you will be arguing for this. Jody, you against. So, Dave, your 30 seconds starts now.
You might think the Vidians would be somebody to be avoided, but having encountered them, having knowledge of Voyager, and having had interactions which, in some sense, were part of the cure for the phage, I think there's a way in which the Federation meta-narrative about species which almost destroy themselves but come to participate in a wider, more democratic, more egalitarian, compassionate, etc., Federation charter sort of society actually really fit what they do in this case.
Okay, very good, very good. Good point there. Jody, your 30 seconds now.
I have two main points here. The first one being, what makes you think that this couldn't happen again? And the second thing would be, what can they offer the Federation? What would be the point of them even being part of the Federation? They don't seem to have any real ties to anything that's useful. So where do you draw the line at who you're bringing in? Like, you have the Federation is to learn off of others, as well as to obviously territory and protective services and stuff like that. So how are we answering those two questions, I guess?
Okay, 30 seconds open debate.
Fair question. And I think this, I'm going to go for the second one first because I remember it better right off the top of my head. In a certain sense, I think the entry to the Federation isn't so much about what a particular group offers materially, but what their diversity can bring to the Federation, rather than the sort of assimilation model of our previous question.
But if that's the case, they're no different than the Borg.
No. The idea is to bring that into a fuller unity that doesn't destroy that diversity, right?
Well, diversity is definitely important. I will grant you that. But having diversity with a bunch of people that have body parts from other alien forms is not really what I'd consider diversity. So their bodies are diverse, but I wouldn't necessarily say their knowledge is.
Their medical knowledge is pretty profound.
Oh, maybe
that is true. Now, their medical technology is thought to be the best that we've seen of any race in Star Trek, because that's what their whole society is based around. However, that wasn't one of the two arguments that really stuck with me. The one thing Jody said that I found very interesting was just like, well, how do you know it wouldn't happen again? And we've seen how they reacted the first time.
That's a great question.
So that was like, ooh.
Well, and I think
honestly, when this question came up, I actually wanted to argue for them. So I didn't get the option to do that.
That happened to me in one earlier.
I had to kind of come up with something
very
there.
well with the adverse side of the question. Let me say.
Thank you.
So
I can find negative in anything, Dave.
But the thing that rang true the most for me was something Dave said early in the debate. Actually, it was just that's a common thread, a common story that we see from so many, almost all of the species of the Federation, even the Vulcans.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That they almost destroy themselves. Now that's very recent for the Vidians, but you know,
Well, the question is, should they be the first Delta Quadrant Society?
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's
neither
not
of you,
what you
neither of you guys
at
went
all.
that way. I put that in there
That's
to
true.
give you another
Yeah.
way to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
the debate.
yeah. It'd
Yeah.
be.
Neither of you
Well,
went.
now I'm
this should
thinking about
be-
that. I could have easily burnt that question up, no problem. But
Yeah,
But
well,
this should be an
I'm giving it to
interesting
Dave.
to go back to in
I think
terms of
rightfully so. Dave should have that one.
a
Yeah,
deeper
that one.
probe though about like the kind of timing you'd give to that, right? Because I could see
Yeah.
saying, let's establish diplomatic relations and give it 60, 70, 100 years.
Well, and that's what they've done,
Just to
especially
allow it to heal.
in next gen. They said that a couple times. There was a couple of races. They're like, okay, well, we'll come back in 100 years and we'll see how you're doing. You know, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
right?
Yeah. So it's not unheard of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All
I
right,
think they
Dave,
say
you're
that
up next.
not the Mintakans, the other people.
The
First contact.
Yeah, that's the Mintakans, isn't it?
No, the Mintakans are the Proto Vulcans.
Oh,
yeah. I
Not
can't remember.
Meklar 3. Anyway, we know what we're talking about. Though.
Yeah, that's how it starts off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Dave, you're up.
So on the next question. All right. Oh yeah, that's the whole question. Be it resolved, Boimler is a worse friend than Mariner. So now I think I had Davin arguing for last time, so I'm going to put Jody on the Boimler is a worse friend argument, and Davin, you can argue against that in any way you see fit. All right. So when the timer
Jody,
So I'm
starts,
starting. I
can
start
go.
then. Okay.
Yep.
Boimler is a terrible friend, and the easiest way to define a terrible friend is somebody who looks out for themselves first. And that's something that Boimler definitely does. Mariner definitely is, she's for herself as well, but she also does always jump in and take charge, or for instance, tries to help a friend. Boimler is always out to get his promotion. He's always out to be the guy that gets stood in front of everybody else. And when somebody wants the glory all the time in your friend group, are they really, truly your friend? That was good timing ending right there. I like that. That was good.
Look, Boimler isn't out for glory. He's a go-getter. You want to hang out with a go-getter because they'll take you to the top with them. Mariner will just get you killed. just get you attacked by a monster or eaten by a spider or a Gormagander or something, she'll take you on a crazy adventure. It might be fun, but you might die. Whereas, Boimler, he's a career-oriented fella. Yeah, sure, but that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so I think I see the dynamics here. One is a comparative evils argument, whereas like the evil of getting yourself killed is worse than just being a terrible person, and the other is,
quality of a friend.
Open debate.
All right,
go for it.
I'll start this. Boimler is a guy who is not going to have fun. He's not the guy that you want to have your back, because his back is always going to go to himself first. Mariner will have your back. And you know what? She'll have a lot of fun doing it. And that's something that's very important. When we hang out with our friends, we don't hang out with boring friends. We don't hang out with friends that are absolutely annoying to us. We hang out with people that we enjoy to be part of, because that's what friendship is. It's company as well.
How do you know
that's something
even about Bradford Boimler? This could be about William Boimler, and he's a ton of fun.
I meant Bradford Boimler.
I assume so. I guess your point is not really valid.
I'll still get you killed. I think my original point stands.
You know what? Sometimes you have to scare yourself every day. And having Mariner as your friend, you'll definitely get scared at least once a day. And
Mariner
that sometimes
keeps
is the
secrets.
most important thing to living life, my friend.
I do love that the opening of the entire series is them messing around, and all of a sudden she just cuts this chunk into his leg.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, see?
It was
That's
just
not
it's
a
such a
friend
wonderful
move.
statement that this isn't your usual Star Trek. Just beautiful.
Or
Anyway.
a good friend. That's what
I almost
thought.
submitted
thought.
the question: Is Lower Decks actually canon? I almost submitted.
Oh,
that.
that's going to become an increasingly.
I would argue to the nails that it is, but I might not get. That's the thing about this show.
That's a great question.
Mhm.
We'll see if they begin to.
Maybe
refer
that's
to it.
something somebody else can have later. And I do
Siri-
apologize for my lighting changes. I have one LED bulb that hasn't worked since the power failures. So I have to figure out what that is. So every time it goes into Bluetooth
Treat
mode, all of a sudden, then it goes back out again. So right now it's blue, but it'll go back to white again.
Have you tried reversing the polarity?
Not yet, but there's
Do it.
possible coolant leak. So I'm going to check when I get a chance.
You're going to want to check an EPS conduit for that. Yeah.
Possibly, yes.
All right.
And I might need to go through a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Good luck.
I will.
All right.
Your judgment.
I got to give a point away here. I'm giving this point to I give this point to Jody.
Woo! All right. I'm doing better than I thought I would be, gentlemen. That's all I can tell you.
Oh, there is a bit of a beginner's luck to this show for a lot of.
Oh, is that what you're going to go with now? Are you? Okay,
No, I'm just saying that's like a trend. Like the people come on for the first time and they often win.
Oh, okay.
Math-
Maybe
math
it's because
on
you're not familiar with what I'm going to do. I guess maybe that's it.
Oh, that's an interesting point. There's novelty in it.
Jeff
in
won
this
his first
battle.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mind you, I've been on trivial debates many times, so
Okay.
not to toot my own horn, but I am the reigning champion over there.
Whoa. You could be double champ here. Double champ.
I'm the most winningest as well. So.
No, you are
Oh
champ.
my. Oh my. Well, I
Champ
believe
special.
I might be the most winningest on this show.
Well, I would imagine considering I've only had one appearance. So yeah.
That's the point.
Statistically,
All right.
enough for you.
Statistically, that makes perfect sense.
All right, Jody, here's your next one.
Yes, be it resolved, gentlemen. General Martok is way overglorified in DS9. I'm going to give Dave 4 because I want to see Davin argue against this. That's really my main thing.
You want to see Davin argue again? So you want me to argue that he is way overglorified?
Actually, no. Sorry, I want to do it the opposite way. So,
Oh, no.
So I want Davin to argue that he is the most overglorified, and I want Dave to tell me that obviously
He needs even more glory, perhaps. He's
needs
not
even more glory. Glory to the house of what was his house of
All right. All right, here we
Sine or
go.
something like that. But anyway, yeah.
I might need 30 minutes.
Well, you have 30 seconds.
So General Martok is just a common man. He's the leader of he become at his very best. You know, his at the end of his story arc, he becomes leader of Klingons, but they're a fledgling empire at this point. They're like just rife with civil war. They're in shambles after the two wars, one that they started. In Worf, everything he's gotten, Worf has given him. So, you know, and he was just in jail, you know, doing nothing, getting beat up.
All right, Dave, let's hear it.
Did Kahless not rely on friends?
Nope.
Martok, Chancellor Martok to you, is a creature of glory, born of common stock. He overcame it, took up the crew of the Rotaran, and brought them back to glory. Even gave an aging Dahar master a chance to find his death in battle. And then in the end, unwilling as though he was, the mark of a leader, took on the mantle of Chancellor. Kapla!
May I start this free-for-all open debate?
Please.
Let's talk about all three of those examples. The first one took up the case of the Rotaran. He was crying in the back, and then Worf had to punch him in the face to make him do his job.
Achilles
Again,
in
Worf
intent visited by Patroclus.
Again, Worf made him chancellor. Once again, the common man thing. He scrubbed toilets. Everything he was given to him was by his best friend. The core thing, that was the other example. Worf made him do that too.
The beauty of friendship is it makes you recognize honor and live it. Yep.
I'm sorry, Dave. I have to give it to Davin. and you know what?
Really crushing in that back and forth there.
He really gunned at you there, didn't he? Wow. I wasn't expecting that response, quite honestly.
It was awesome.
And I'll tell you, honestly, Dave,
I had to lash out like
I was on Dave's side until the rebuttal. and then
that
the
was
rebuttal
just that
told me.
that was glorious, man.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Even though it was not the truth, you have won the truth out of this combat.
I am not a merry
but
man.
I hate to break it to you guys, it has been resolved.
Oh no, no, it
has
hasn't.
been resolved.
Open for debate still for another day.
Fair enough.
All right, back to me.
That was a
I
tough
guess.
win
Is
for
it?
you, Davin, I think.
Ugh, my God.
I honestly, I thought Dave was gonna get that one right away, just based on where he went.
Okay, a little background on my next one, I guess. If you may remember the episode of Voyager Distant Origin, I believe it was called, with the Voth. Now, they were a saurian species from Earth that left Earth before the rise of humanity and left for the Delta Quadrant. And then Voyager discovers this and finds that the genetics of them and humans are 99% identical, and they'd have to be from the same planet, and confirmed it all.
Okay.
And they have their own lore of how they left and why they left. So, be it resolved, if they ever returned to the Alpha Quadrant, the Voth would have legitimate claim to Earth. Dave, you will be arguing for this. Jody, you against. Dave, your 30 seconds starts now.
Should the Voth decide to return to the Alpha Quadrant, I think they would have a legitimate claim to settle on Earth. Mind you, the Earth would hardly resemble what they left. It's not Pangea anymore. It's many, many continents, but perhaps a settlement in the Badlands of Alberta, or somewhere where their heritage is most represented in the fossil record, could provide a brilliant embassy for the Voth on Earth. A way not just for birds, but for big dinosaurs to come back in real life.
Jody.
I'm gonna lay it down as quick as I can, gentlemen, and this is it. When you sell your house, you sell your house. It is done. When you come back 5 years later and reminisce about your house, you don't get to just take it back. It doesn't work that way. When you leave, you leave. That's it. And you know what? You've left. You've gone to a completely different quadrant in the universe. At this point, no, you don't have a stake anymore. Now, can you settle there again? That might be allowed. However, no, you don't have any claim to that. You gave that up, and you gave that up by literally leaving. And that's an open and shut case.
Okay, is it an open and shut case? Open debate starts now.
Legitimate historical claim is a difficult question, right? In one case, the sense of, say, the Kzinti and the Caitians, there's no legitimate claim because the species are differentiated enough. But here the question is actually about the planet. And so I think where you have a point that there's no claim to ownership of the whole planet.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reasonable and legitimate claim to some heritage place that could be made available to these people to actually honor that distant, deep memory.
That's great and all, but the question was legitimate claim to Earth, which is the whole entire planet. And I'm going to go still with my original argument, which is you don't get to leave and come back and expect that you get to take over what's there now. And that doesn't work that way.
Well, and I agree with your basic premise. My point is really about how to mediate a legitimate settlement to a claim of ancestry around Earth, right? That could extend.
This one might be a little bit my fault in the wording, because I was going to word this a little different. It was going to be Earth or some territory on Earth.
Okay, so if it was a territory, well, that makes things a little harder.
That does change
but it's
the
still, I mean it as a legitimate claim, as in there's no denying it. There's no debate.
Right.
So similar idea.
Yeah, but regardless, though, you still you got rid of your home. You don't get to come back later and take it back. It doesn't work that way. They weren't forcefully
and you had me, and then Dave muddied the waters real good with his historical claim thing, because that's a friggin' hot button issue in the world right now. And I was like, well, I can't really friggin' go against historical. Anyway, Dave wins by backing into a corner.
Good job, Dave.
Well done, Dave. You didn't really leave me an option.
That was the most spiteful.
I wouldn't be able to do anything with that, though. Like, what am I going to do? Say,
I know. So Joey just like, let's veer away from what.
There's a Ukraine war going on, dude. What do you want me to do? Like,
you argued that as well as you possibly could have, I think.
No,
All
it's amazing how, like, again, and like, but this is one of the weird characters of science fiction, right?
Yes.
That like science fiction is excellent at taking real world problems and like kind of isolating them out to some hyper or surreal place where you
Yes.
can then sort of examine it in a place free from other contextual constraints.
Yeah, and I
But
think
the
that's one of the
context
reasons
always
why
comes
we all
back
love
to
it.
them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
All right. So to you, yeah.
this is me.
So this one's going to take a bit of preamble, I believe.
Okay. So you'll recall recently in an episode of Star Trek Picard where Guinan and Picard are being interrogated by an FBI agent, a sort of a shuffly Mulder character. And that Guinan asserts that humans live out their past in the present constantly, reenacting and redrafting the malleable substance of memory in real time, in space time. And that this is a characteristic feature of who humans really are because they're constantly working at these things that they carry in such a present sense. So, be it resolved, this is a true picture of human consciousness. So, I think, Jody, I had you arguing for last time. I'm going to have Davin argue for this time.
Guinan's picture is true to me. Okay. I mean, yes, humans are a very reflective species, and that's what has turned them into how they're characterized in Star Trek as the species that is the most capable of change and most open to change. And the Q have remarked that about humans as well. And I believe that is trying to learn from our mistakes and our past. And that is what Pike, his point in the first Strange New Worlds episodes. He's just like, we look back on that and we just didn't want to do that stuff anymore. So
Right. All right, Jody.
All right. Guinan is comes from a race of watchers. These are people that watch and observe other forms of life. The problem with that is that you're only getting the interpretation of what you see, and as we all know, we can be one thing but actually have the intent for something else. So is it true that would actually be reflective of what she has said, what she has seen? Because as you all know, we can put a very good face on something or we can put a very bad face on something and yet mean the opposite.
Oh, these are interesting approaches. So your question here, Jody, is more about the quality of
The observation.
capacities as an observer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. This is fascinating. All right, go for it. We got some free for all here.
Davin?
I think Guinan has had more time to study humanity than a human gets to, so I think we can probably trust her intuition. But again, how often in the Star Trek in general and the characters in it remark on the past, whether it be theirs or humanity's or the Federation's? It's a constant in the dialogue, and it's what spurs them forward to be the.
But a rabbit learns from their mistakes as well. That doesn't necessarily make them of a consciousness that's far superior. Your entire purpose is to say that because she's observed them for a long period of time, that makes her assessment accurate. That's irrelevant.
I say it has the potential to be. It's not
absolutely.
Like
my example of a 5-second look at somebody can also be just as much potential. So with
I
that,
would argue that's not the case.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I had a grandfather that could tell you who you were about 20 seconds into knowing you.
Oh, and there's people that can do it. They can size you up in no time flat.
Yep.
And honestly, that was actually my thought while you were talking, because Guinan seems like, I think the fact that she's presented as a bartender from the first time we meet her is supposed to be one of those indications, right? Like she's a great cold reader. in that sense, right?
Well, that's true.
Um,
Yep.
Like she's got that bartender's intuition in that sense, right? And so
It's a good choice for a job. I always thought that. Was
yeah. I mean,
I did like that. Yeah, that was great.
your argument has tremendous merit, Jody. I think its real technical trouble is that it has a hard time attaching to Guinan as like a character that we've known for a while in that sense. I think it would attach really well to the Elorian we meet in Deep Space Nine.
How many people have mothers that they've known their entire lives but still make poor choices and go out with the wrong people?
That's neither here nor there. This debate is over.
There's a lovely point right there. And
That
in a
point
way,
is
that's
far too late in this debate.
humanity in the season of Picard we meet her in, right? That's kind of her point. It's like they know better by now. They're just not doing it. In this case, I've got to give the point to Davin.
Oh my. Okay. Jody, you are up.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay.
This one's a very
God.
controversial one.
It is. And I thought the Martok one was controversial.
Well, you see, if you notice, I built them up from not as controversial to very controversial.
Yet all very controversial. Picard should have murdered everyone on the board.
All right, gentlemen, be it resolved. Worf was a useless character that added nothing to TNG or DS9. Now, I can't remember who was for last time.
You made me argue that Martok was over glorified.
So you were for. So yeah, you'll be against this time, which is probably suitable.
Thank God.
Dave, however, you will be for this.
All right.
Let's hear it, sir. I have faith in you.
Well, let me just begin by saying that Microbrain has never had an idea that's been followed.
Yes.
That turned out successfully. And when he has his own ideas, they go wrong because he has the wrong idea about what's going on. Worf has universally terrible instincts, including the suggestion to his superior officer that he murder him because his spine was broken. So, Worf, while a kind of ridgy distraction,
I forgot to hit your thing, but your time's probably almost up.
The story of TNG or Deep Space Nine that isn't essentially, oh, look, he's an alien.
I think your 30 seconds is up for sure. Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, that was fancy.
Yeah.
All right, Davin.
All right. Worf was not only not a useless character, but he was the best character in the history of Star Trek, and let me tell you why. Because yes, as Dave pointed out in the broken back incident, for example, he did start in a confused and vulnerable. He was someone out of his place, a Klingon living amongst humans, and then he rose to become someone who could be married successfully to a shrill who's had 8 lifetimes and was very witty.
Very witty.
Mm-hmm.
Destroyed his own chances at being captain for the purposes of that trill.
He didn't. We're going to see Captain Worf here real soon. Don't you worry about that. And
we haven't seen
you may not see your own captaincy, but you know what? Cisco poisoned the whole planet and he gets to be captain. So you know what? They don't care. Worf will be captain. Worf's a way more suitable captain than that racist Vulcan.
Worf is just he's a grumpy man whose only virtue is prudence.
He added humor to TNG and he added a lot of drama and intense episodes to DS9.
A lot of growling.
That too, which is awesome.
All right. Davin, I expected a lot more out of you on this one.
Oh, that hurt my heart to do. Wow.
But the main thing here is, and I'm going to give the point to Dave, and I'm going to tell you why. Because not only did he make distinct points during his debate, he didn't follow it up with, and he also married somebody.
No, but couldn't even interact with like a normal human, and Jizzy is like not a normal human.
You didn't say that.
She's a trill, in fact.
You
what I
just
meant.
you just said he successfully married a trill who had 8
I
other
think
lives.
that's pretty good.
I don't see the point in that. So point goes to Dave.
Oh,
Well, Dave, you just won. Not trivial, not trivial. Jeez, you got me confused, Jody. You won tonight's debate 9.
have I?
You have.
You're blowing my mind.
You have 4 points. Jody has 3,
Oh,
and I
jump.
have 2.
Whew.
Oh, I came in second. That wasn't too bad.
You did.
Well, that was
Try it.
Like, see, that's the power you
Oh,
had there. You had the power to keep the game going or give the game to Dave.
I didn't know what the points were, so
That's why I don't
just
talk
went
about the
with-
points a lot. but
I voted.
power
I
was
voted
yours.
who I felt was right. That's all.
So
there
it
was
should
to
Well,
it.
that's
it
oh
should be.
man, that's I think it's the first time I've anyway that's great.
No, you've won.
This isn't the
You've
first
won
time you've won, has it?
Is
no,
this?
he's won. You
Did
won.
I
the
did
second
I like
one,
give you
think.
your first win? I did that on
Oh,
the Trivial
apparently
Debates
I-
podcast
no.
as well. So
He won. When we were, it was still audio only.
Oh, wow.
It was back in the old
Back
days.
to the fourth
so
time.
I've given you your first win since you went visual.
That's right.
True.
Oh well, congratulations.
Right. You give me
I
my
think it was
first-
well deserved. Well done.
Yep, that was
Oh,
fun,
thank you.
Jody. Good questions. Good.
You know what?
debating. You
Honestly,
almost
gentlemen,
had it.
I was totally confused by how this was going to work.
Everyone always is.
I've watched your other stuff, but to be quite honest, the debate stuff I never really watched much of. But I've caught the occasional thing, but that was it.
Well, how did you
This
do?
was a lot of fun. This was a lot
Yeah,
of
I
fun.
think it's a
I
fun
would
show.
definitely do it again. I would definitely do it again if
Right on.
if you need somebody. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love the questions; they were great.
Well, it's a game of improvisation and spontaneity, right? So
Well,
yeah, I was. It's hard though because, like, I'm used to debating on Trivial Debates, and anybody who doesn't know what that show is, it's basically similar to this, but it's a pop culture kind of thing. So not Star Trek related per se, but I usually add some sort of Star Trek to it when I'm hosting. But with that, but yeah, no. So this is a lot harder because a lot of the times I had to argue something that I definitely didn't agree with. So it was like
that's
You know,
not
I-
unbelievable,
I
right?
disappointed
You can stick
myself.
somebody with,
and the
like,
ones that I didn't agree
Seymour
with were
Thomas
actually
Harris.
the ones that I won. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
yeah.
This game messes with your mind sometimes. Like, how did that
Absolutely.
just convince me?
Yeah.
Anyway,
But in that
My
time, I
both
think,
arguments
like,
sucked.
I mean, at one point I made an offhand comment that it's like this is a really Klingon game, but in that
Yeah.
respect, I think it very much is because a Klingon could find themselves on a side in a battle they wouldn't have thought, like Kern finding himself following Worf under Gowron's banner, but he's still going to put his all into that stuff, right? And that to me
because
is
the
part of
warrior comes first. Yeah.
right? That's part of the fun of the game in that sense.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, it was a blast, guys. I really
Right
enjoyed
on.
it. I'm glad I finally got to be on it. So
Well,
Indeed,
Jody,
me too.
tell us what you're up to over on Live Long and Podcast.
all right, well, on Live Long and Podcast, which you can't currently see me, but that's okay. I host a show which is Enterprise at 8 with Adam Woodward, which you've had as a guest before. We basically are rewatching all of Enterprise and trying to find the good in what everybody thinks is bad. So we do that, and I know Davin has joined us before, and
I love
Dave,
that
you're
show.
certainly welcome to jump on once in a while if you want to,
Oh,
if you're into it. If you're not into it, then obviously no
Well, I'd
point,
love
but
to sometime.
yeah, I like
Let's not talk about
Enterprise,
music.
and we decided one day we're gonna redo it. And actually, the reason why we're rewatching it is for Kevin Millard, because Kevin Millard said it was the most terrible show ever created, and I think we've kind of turned him around. He's definitely not as hard on it as he used to be. He still doesn't like Archer, which is fine.
We're
I
gonna
can't
have
say
him on
Archer's
this
my
show,
favorite.
and I'm gonna have the question: Be it resolved, Enterprise is the greatest show ever in the history of
Oh,
Star Trek.
please,
and he's
please.
gonna vote. He's gonna argue
Please.
for it.
And if you want, I'll even come on as a guest just to read that question to him. But yeah, so we
That
do
would give
Enterprise
me
at 8
pleasure.
and Live Long and Podcast. We do a bunch of things. I also do on Thursday nights. We're currently doing Strange New World, so I'm a guest on that as well. I don't host it, but I guest it. So yeah, we're really enjoying that show as well. So
Me
check
too.
it out.
I just love talking about how great that show is.
It is a good show, and yes, obviously Davin joins us a lot. So Dave, of course, we'd love to see you over there. So please consider me sending an invitation to you, sir. So if you ever want to come, you just let us know, and we'll get you in there.
Right on. I'm terrible with dates and times, so if Davin at some point,
you know what, Davin never shows up on time either, so it's fine. Yeah,
yeah, that'd be great. Then I'll know what
we'll send you a message.
Sometimes
we're
cousin
supposed to be
Dave and
there.
I show up perfectly sober.
Sometimes, but not in the last episode. So let's put it this way:
I was fine.
I've never had to mute anybody on the show until the last one.
He booted us like 15
I
times.
booted him at least 10 times. At least 10 times, because they were just getting to the point where it's like they're not controlled, and it's going to end up turning into a 4-hour show. So we had to kind of kill it. So, but either way, but again, big fans of your guys' show. I do love it. It's always a good time to listen to, and you guys are very, very interesting to hear. So I was glad to be part of this one. So great.
Right on.
Well, speaking of our show, look, Cuties of Trek on Screen, we often follow the Debate Nines up with our new show, who one of the co-creators of was Adam Woodward. Actually, we thought of it during his during the last Debate 9, and that's the Class L probes.
Class L probes. What is that?
We take questions from Debate 9 that we think could use a deeper dive.
Oh, I see.
We just discuss them as kind of a trio, or however many of us are there. So far, it's been a trio. But
I was thinking 4 next time.
And just give each we'll each pick a question. We give it like a half an hour a piece, or 20 minutes a piece, or whatever it takes.
We
that's a neat little
discuss them without animosity, unlike this show.
I would suggest doing at least one of my questions. So.
Oh man!
Well, they're all good.
I would love to go deeper into the.
Not even a good question. I should have won that.
The Iborg question is probably the best one to do it. Yeah.
Oh man! Oh, there's so much tasty stuff in there, from Picard's psychology on up, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, check that out.
It doesn't paint a good picture of Picard, so it's
check out our most recent episode.
Got it.
Of our regular podcast where we're going up Tellar. We talked about what were we talking about? Space. Yeah, we were talking about space.
Right. The final frontier.
Check that out. Check out my other podcast, X-Rated, the X-Men Animated Review Show. This Tuesday, we are going to review Season 2, Episode 11, Mojo Vision, with guest Marvel artist David Cutler, who just brought back Thunderbird. So that's going to be fun. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show once before. It's gonna be, and he's always awesome. He's a fun guy to have on the show. He has lots of
big talent. Wow.
Oh, indeed. Huge talent. Doing the new Moon Girl and X-Men comic, which I'm looking forward to.
Really?
Oh, right on.
And awesome. Check out my co-host there's Andre's podcast, Graphic Histories. And that's a great show too. He interviews people in the comic and geek world, and he gets into their lives, and he's a good interview. Cool. He's a good interviewer. And check out the stuff over at Super Mater Brothers as well, where they review.
Oh, I wouldn't.
All that. Well, Jody wouldn't, but
I'm just kidding.
If you like Survivor and that kind of stuff, go check out the reviews over at Super Mater.
If you like watching boring television, then that's the channel for you.
Man, they get more viewers than any of the rest of our stuff.
They probably get more viewers than the show that they review.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, thanks for joining.
Tell it as it is, gentlemen. I am proud of myself, though. I didn't swear once this entire episode.
Did a great job.
I don't have to click the explicit box.
Coin in the jar.
I try to keep it clean for you guys.
Clean here. Yeah.
Well,
we're
I don't do that on our channel.
No.
There we are.
Neither do I on their channel.
But, we're bringing it into home base here, into Space Dock, as we sign off. And so I suppose as we let you go, dear listeners and viewers, all we can say is end transmission.
Ah.